kind of talk to me about your the nation's involvement with the First Americans Museum, and then the whole development, because there's a lot of stuff that's going to happen there. And I mean, I think some of the plans have been released about a complex going in, but I mean, if you're allowed to share more about it, I'd love to hear what the plans are coming forward, because it's going to be an incredible development.
Let's talk a little bit about the museum first. It's something that really came out of something that Governor Bill, back in his second term. His first term, he had one term and then he left and went to Senate, and then he came back and ran for governor again and was elected quite handily. But during that term, he was the Oklahoma economy. They were concerned about diversification, so they had Price Waterhouse come in and do a study, and they took different facets or different segments of the economy, and they took a look at it. One that Price Waterhouse took a look at was the tourism industry. And in their final report, they talked about the assets of the state, and they talked about maybe some gaps. And they indicated that two of the most important things that the state had to offer were being overlooked. One was the Western heritage, and the other was the American Indian heritage. That the state could develop tourism in that area that might be very beneficial to the economy. So there were some folks that took that banner up and said, okay, well, let's see what we can do about creating a Native American element to the tourism. And so they came up with a cultural center. That's what it was referred to. And that was my first involvement after that, after that study with this museum. There was a feasibility study done, and it was actually conducted by Oklahoma City University. And they looked at all aspects of the museum and the size and the cost and all those things, and they came to the conclusion, yes, it is feasible. About the same time, the governor issued requests for proposals because he felt like that we needed to do it. And so it was different entities sent over their proposal in. And the group that I was with actually got selected for that museum. It was intended that the state would fund it. And so that was my first involvement.
Yeah.
This was back in the 1990s. There were some of the people on that committee were Allie Reynolds, who was a former baseball pitcher for New York Yankees, was a Creek Nation. Kelly Haney, who just passed, and chief of the Creek Nation, Claude Cox, and his name escapes me right now, but he was with the Oklahoma Historical Society, and myself. And so we submitted that proposal to the governor. I remember the last few months of his term, he was trying to come up with a way to fund it. And we went to his office, to his conference room, and he brought people in, and he was saying, okay, what do you think we can do here? Or can we use this funding vehicle to fund this thing? And there was just not enough time for it to happen. So it sat on the shelf, and Kelly Haney was in the state legislature. He was able to get a bill passed to actually create the Native American Cultural and Educational Authority. And then on the Senate side, there was a senator from Altus who was able to carry it through. So then it was created. The entity was a state authority, and they put people on the board. I was asked to serve at that point. So we went through many years of planning and developing, looking for funding until we got here. So it's been a labor of love, but it's also been one of those challenges that you have is when it's a state type project where there's an ebb and flow in support, ebb and flow in funding, and then the cost continues to go up because of inflation. Even if it's that much inflation, it goes up. So we finally we were able to get it done. It wasn't just me, there was a lot of us working on it. And of course we opened it up last year. And it's really taken off. The dream has been fulfilled. The result is better than we actually expected because we have more visitation than we expected. I mean, it's just every day there are a lot of people that are attending. It was not complete, however, without some ways to create an economic development there too, which would create some revenue flow for the museum. And a couple of years ago, I guess it's been at least 2 years ago, we worked out a deal with the city of Oklahoma City to acquire all the property around it. And this was a business venture from our Department of Commerce. And so they had envisioned a little bit of what you've heard back then, and a little more, because it hasn't been revealed, but on the other side of the museum, on the west side, there will be some development there too. But this project was family friendly to start with. Family, First Americans Museum. And so it was our desire to put together something that would be not only family friendly, but also bring in people to Oklahoma City. We had some talent again to put this together and to do the planning. And it is about a $320 million project. We couldn't even dream of a $320 million project in 1987. Okay, it just wouldn't have been something we would even begun to think of. But today we have the resources to help make it happen. And so it's a water park. It's in-house and outside of the facility. There'll also be some other tourism activities going on, including a arts area. And they've already started the dirt work on it. If you drive by there, you'll see it looks even neater now than it did when they opened the museum. And so we should have it finished in 18 months or so. And again, it's family friendly. Some people think there'll be a casino there. No, there won't be a casino there. It's not that casinos can't be made family friendly. It's just that we never started out with that as a goal. It's to help enhance help the museum do better, and all at the same time create a net income